Hey guys, welcome back. In the previous video we saw how we can do all our common assertions like assertions on status code, about values, about JSON schema, etc. in a common class called verify response. Now in this video let's just go ahead and do some more validations about, let's say, the response body for things like post, put and get kind of request. So before we start writing tests for it, let's open the Explore Booking API and let's put it into the right pane, and let's just see how does this response looks like. So for example, if I run a post call, let's see how the response looks like. Test fast. Where is it? There's the response. Yeah, here's the response. So for a post response, what we see is it contains a booking ID and then it contains a booking body. If you now run a get request, what we see is this only contains booking body, so it does not contain the booking ID. If we run a put call, forbidden because we also need auth tokens, so let me run auth tokens. So now we have the auth token, and if I run a put call, this looks exactly the same as the get request but not the same as post one. If I run the patch call, this also looks pretty much similar to a get or a put call. So we essentially have two kind of responses that we can expect. A response for get, put and patch, which only includes booking details, and a response for post, which includes booking but which also includes a booking ID. So when we are trying to assert responses, like when we are writing assertions, we have to make sure that we have methods for dealing with both kind of responses. So now let's just go ahead and create a verify response class for booking. So maybe what we can do is we can make a copy of this, and the best place to put that assertion class would be inside the booking package itself, because assertions are closer to test, so this should lie also closer to test. So if I do paste and let's call it as verify booking response, cancel, I think I can close it now, and we still need a response, we still need assertions, so this will stay. In the verify booking response constructor, we would like to initialize this value, so this is also correct. Then we would also want to have an assert that method which will accept the response and initialize it to the response field in this particular class. So this also looks perfectly fine. We don't need a status code method because we already have a separate class for it, and what we do need is another method which would, let's say, can once, so let's which we can, but we do need another method which can one assert for booking and then can also assert for, let's say, booking ID. So let's say if we say response has booking ID method, this will contain a booking ID. And now what you want to do is we basically want to say that we want the response, we have to first extract the response, let's say, as booking type, as the booking response type, and then we could extract this value. So let's say booking response, and if we say response, validatable response, then extract, in fact let's read about it, then and then extractable response, so extract and extract response as, and what you want to do is we want to extract this response as booking response dot class, right? And what this is going to do is it is going to extract the response like booking ID and booking, which is exactly what we want here, right? And once we have the booking response, we want to assert that For example, this booking response, and now we can get booking ID. So get booking ID described as let's say response booking ID. So let me put this here, and this contains value booking ID, right? If instead of contains, if we give is equal to, I think then we get it correct, right? So, and in fact this is long, so the booking ID we changed, in fact, yeah, the booking ID is long, so described as booking ID, right? So let's try to make a use of this before we go to booking, and let's see if this is working fine or not. So this is the place where we're getting booking ID, and of course it should work fine, but let's just say verify booking response, assert that response, and if we say as booking ID, booking ID is long, right? Yeah. And then if I say assert all, if everything is fine, this assertion should run fine. So let's run this test. Cool, and the test is green, so everything seems to be okay. Now the thing that we can see here is we are making two assertions here. One is the assertion for status code and stuff which is common, and then we need to have a specific assertion class for asserting the response body of the API endpoint that we are testing. So let's say if you have a booking endpoint or a customer endpoint, hotel endpoint, you would only need one class for asserting common things like status code, etc. But you would need different classes for asserting responses. And again, like in our case, the post response was different. The put, patch, and get were the same. But let's say if a particular API endpoint has different responses for each of these, then you would need different classes for asserting each of those responses, right? Now let's just go back and try to add few more methods. So let's also try to assert the booking body. So has booking, let's call it as booking, and let's accept a booking body because that is what we are providing as an input, and we want to extract the response as booking response. So this is still the same. Assert that, and then this will change to get booking, and let's call this as booking, and this is equal to the booking body, right? Now I already know that this will fail, and the reason this will fail is because the booking body, even though might have the same content as what we get in the response booking, but the entity type is different. This is booking body, and in booking response, the entity that we used is booking. But nonetheless, let's go back and let's try to run the test again. Okay, now we see the failure, and if we scroll down, like I said, the expected was given as class booking body. The actual one refers an entity called booking. Both of them, by the way, contains exactly the same field, key values, exactly the same input values. So this brings back to our question of what should we do about this, right? And if we see, we have one booking response of type booking response, booking ID, booking. But let's say if you want to like have separate responses for put, get, and patch, should I create another class like which is exactly the same as booking? And I think the answer is no, because at this moment the booking contains the fields which we also have in booking body. So I think it just makes sense that instead of having two classes, instead of having two classes or even three classes in terms of response, we just have one class with one name as booking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this class, safe delete. Okay, I would say delete anyways, and I'll fix the issues later. And I'm going to rename this booking body as booking class, right? So I'll say refactor, select all. Okay, so now booking class will represent multiple things here. It will represent the booking body also. It will also represent the booking response for put, patch, and get, and it will also be used inside the booking response class, right, as a booking entity. So now if we go back and look into our test, in fact into booking API, the booking API is no longer accepting the booking body, it is accepting a booking, right? So it's not too bad, because it still makes sense that we are providing a booking to update or to create or to fetch. And if I go back to test, now if I come here, we are extracting the response, we get booking, and this is equal to booking. So this time everything should work fine. So let's run this test again and see how it goes. Okay, seems perfectly fine. So this time it has no problems, because the has booking method accepts a booking, and when we go to booking response dot get booking, it also gives us as the JSON object type booking. So this is fine. So with this, if I come back in the post call, we are able to assert both the status code, and we are able to assert full response, which included so like if we come down, let's scroll up, which included both the booking ID and the booking, right? So I think the only one thing that we can still improve in this particular assertions is at this moment, after making a call, we need to make two calls to say that verify response for status code, and then we need to make another call for asserting the body. And it will be much more nicer if I could have just said verify booking response, assert that status code is this, has booking this, right? That would be much more better if I could somehow get rid of this and do the assertion of status code, schema, etc. in just one assertion call, instead of having to make two calls without actually duplicating the code that we need to assert the status code and JSON schema validations, etc. So in the next video, that is what I'm going to cover. We are going to see how we can assert everything in just one call without us having to make two different calls for asserting common entities and for asserting specific entities. So see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.